Chimaev, Kamaru Usman. Chimaev in the first round is just such a wrecking ball. I mean, the force, the output, the pressure. I mean, fair play to Kamaru Usman. He showed his championship caliber. He stayed cool, calm, collected, and composed. He didn't make mistakes. He didn't get finished. He didn't get choked out. But that was all that he did. And that's not any insult to Kamaru. Khamzat was just on the attack. The wrestling was phenomenal. The control was sublime. The body triangles, the rear, they had the hooks in. The only thing he didn't do was flatten him out. I thought he could have done a little bit better there. He could have got the seatbelt grip and used the hooks to flatten him out. Maybe could have worked towards a finish there. It seemed like he was a bit too preoccupied to get the choke, but he could have flattened him out. But other than that, he was phenomenal. And I had that a 10-8 round. I don't know about you.
I did. Yeah, I had that at 10-8 round as well. You know what? I'm going to get roasted for this, but I got to be honest.
Go for it.
I want to see Khamzat in a few more fights like that before he fought for the title. And I'm not saying that he couldn't go fight for the title. I'm not saying he can't go fight for the title and win it right now. The only part of his game that I see that he could have some improvement is his pacing. He's 100 miles an hour or 55. Like there's no cruising at 55, jump up to 70, back down to 60, up to 90, back. Like he hasn't had to up to this point because no one is capable of hanging with him up till now, until Gilbert Burns and now Kamaru. No one's even challenged him. So he hasn't had the ability to learn on the fly how to pace himself so that he doesn't have to take off the last 2 rounds. You know what I mean? And of course, those 2 rounds were close. Some people had Kamaru winning, some people had Khamzat. But I think if he could gauge his output a little bit differently and just have enough time over another 2 fights, even 5 rounders, to figure out how to end the round with more gas. Like it's hard to explain. You know what I'm talking about though,
I know exactly what you're saying.
Where you can kind of burst a little bit and then back off and then burst and then back off, and you can save your energy. And so instead of being this far dip that he has conditioning wise, he can make that a more gradual progression. So that's the only thing I can say negative. And that's not even really saying a negative. That's me saying that everyone else up to this point has been absolutely smoked. And now he just hasn't had quite enough time to figure out this 5-round atmosphere. The problem, and this is where I'm going with this, he can beat Sean Strickland for sure. Can he win a 5-round decision over Sean Strickland if he can't finish him in the first 2 rounds? I don't know. It's not even a skill thing. It's the ability to fight at the pace that Strickland fights at.
Well, I mean, the way you can look at it is 2 ways.
Maybe he gets 5 takedowns. Who knows? You know what I mean? It just controls.
Yeah,
him.
But talking about the Kamaru fight, you can look at it from 2 ways. You could say he went out there and just utterly brutalized in round 1, a former welterweight 5-time champ, or defended the belt 5 times as the pound for pound number 1. And then he won a decision over him, right? So that's a great thing, okay?
That's great.
And you could say that the pace slowed, but he still won the fight. And beating and getting a win over Kamaru Usman is not an easy thing to do. And I know Sean Strickland has said he doesn't deserve it because he just beat Usman, a welterweight. That welterweight, and Chimaev was a welterweight, and Strickland was a welterweight, and that welterweight in Usman beat Sean Strickland. So he did something that you couldn't do, but regardless, going off the topic, one way of looking at it is that he just beat Kamaru Usman, okay? Another way of looking at it, and I'm not talking shit, I'm just saying, look at both sides of it, is that anytime he stepped up to elite, meaning Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman, he's really struggled. Because you know, that's the facts. A lot of people thought if it was 5 rounds against Gilbert, he would have had an issue. If it was 5 rounds against Kamaru Usman, it might have been a different scenario. Now, granted, you throw in the fact that potentially he broke his hand in round 1. Right. And we got to take that on board, you know, because that will affect your output. He was walking out just as you get to like the apron to go backstage. He was talking to his teammates, said he broke his hand and stuff. He's not saying that for the camera. You know what I mean? When you're walking out, you don't know. You're not aware
there's a camera there.
You don't even realize that there's cameras on you. You've just gone through this crazy adrenaline pumping situation. You've just fought your goddamn ass off in front of God knows how many people. The world is watching, and then you finally get out. The crowd's gone. You know what I mean? And then you can just, and then you're talking about your emotions and your feelings.
You're like talking to your coach. It's like, I think my hand's broken.
I broke my hand. You're fucking putting on a performance for the cameras. So his hand was messed up regardless. We haven't had the imaging. So look, listen, they're the two ways you can look at that. And, you know, I thought Usman won the next 2 rounds, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Really close. I would have to make an argument for it. I'm just saying my initial reaction watching that was that I thought Usman just scraped it. Just. And I mean just. But I would have to watch it again to stand here and give a really strong opinion. I'm not bothered by the result.
No, I was fine with it either way, even before it was red. I was like, well, whoever wins this deserves it, because I thought it was a fantastic performance for both guys.
I feel like it could have been a draw with the 10-8.
Yeah, one of the scorecards was a draw.
Yeah, you know, I don't have any strong emotions either way. I thought Khamzat did well. I thought Usman really rebounded well, given the 2 losses against Leon. You know, and that took, again, a lot of balls. He rolled the dice just as much to a certain degree as what Volkanovski did.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he should hold his head up high. He really should.
And if Khamzat, for whatever reason, happens to see this, I don't know, he probably won't. But if he happens to see this, I want to like clarify. I'm not saying that I thought he looked bad. I'm saying what I'm doing is I'm picking out.
He looked phenomenal in round 1.
Yeah, he looked great. I'm just picking out the one little chink in his armor that I can find when they're not easy to find. That's about the only thing that I can say that he isn't great at. And so I'm saying that because I really believe in his skills and abilities, and I believe in his championship level that he's at. That would be if I was someone and he came to me, which he never would. But if he came to me and said, "What would you do different if you were me?" Or what could I add that would make me better? That's the only thing I can think of. Just those guys at the top of the food chain are so good at managing their output and managing their, Connor found that out the hard way as well, of just when he fought Nate Diaz the first time, especially when you go up a weight class, you got to manage your output better. And it's great to be, I don't know that there's a person in the world that's going to win a round 1 versus Khamzat. There might not be anybody.
Well, exactly.
The problem is round 2 got closer, and then round 3 got even closer than that. And then there wasn't a 4th, but what does 4 look like? And then what does 5 look like?
Well, correct.
That's the only thing I can think of.
I don't think it's necessarily a problem with pacing. I think he's got to work on his endurance and his stamina.
It's possible,
because
it's either it's either
probably a bit of both.
Yeah, it's either his pacing, or maybe I don't want to say it's his anxiety, but like the squeeze that he had, it's hard to do that. Yeah, sometimes you almost have to let them up, and sometimes it's easier to let
the tank and recover though. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
You know what I'm saying, Anthony?
I get what you're saying.
You should be able to go balls to the wall,
right,
and then be able to recover and go around 2, 3, 4. You should be able to do that, and if
you should be able to redline, and then be able to bring your heart rate back down. You should be able to get from 180 down to 100 in 60 seconds.
Yeah, and then be able to go again. And maybe that second round you take it still at a high pace, but a little bit less, not as crazy, But you should be able to do that. You should be able to fight at a high pace for 3 rounds, certainly. 5 rounds, maybe you change the strategy a little bit, but you should be able to go 3 rounds fucking crazy fast if you're training properly. And maybe just needs a couple of little tweaks here and there. Regardless, though, he did just beat Kamaru Usman.
Yeah, and I don't want to take away anything from that at all. That's an incredible feat. Not a lot of people can say they've done that. No. I think he looked great. I think he's incredibly dominant, especially when he gets a top position. The only takedowns I've ever seen him get stuffed on are ones when he looks like he's feeling it a little bit in the cardio area, and they're not quite as set up as well and not quite as explosive.
Was it round 3?
I thought he was
hit a last double. Was that 3 or 2? Because he missed a couple of takedowns where he shot far too far away. It was kind of telegraphed. But there was one that even DC all got excited about. I think it might have been round 3. I'm not sure. I forget. But he hit one takedown and he was at quite the distance. And he level changed, and blasted forward and just got hold of Usman and it was a beautiful
It might have been
takedown.
3 because even I think Usman defended it well too, and he got a hold of the leg and just climbed his way up. It's impressive. He's really, really impressive. I think
that's Usman.
Yeah, that's crazy. Once he figures out kind of the conditioning part of it, that's going to be a mother to deal with.
Sean Strickland, Khamzat Chimaev, early thoughts. We've got lots to get to. Give me your quick thoughts on that.
Man, Strickland's hard to finish. It's really hard to finish, and he's going to be there for 5 rounds for sure. I think his takedown defense is better than people give him credit for. I think he's one of the guys that can really push Khamzat because he's going to be in his face the whole time. Khamzat does such a good job of pushing people back, but the couple times that Usman kind of really committed to stepping forward, Khamzat doesn't seem to enjoy fighting backwards. Not that any of us do, but some of us are
Quick thoughts, lots to get to.
I don't know. It's a good fight. It's a good fight.
It's a tremendous fight. I look forward to it because I feel like the build.
I gotta keep it quicker than that.
Yeah, no.
I took all the time.
Yeah. We're gonna go. No, we do have a lot to get to, and short of time. They've already started going back and forth, already talking shit.
Oh, I love
what
that.
did Chimaev say? I mean, because Strickland came out yesterday, said he doesn't deserve it, but I'll still fight him. So fair play. It's not like he's ducking him. He's saying, I don't think he deserves it. Mm-hmm. And we can slice that up 1,000 ways. He did just beat someone that beat you, so I think he does deserve it. Regardless, that's what was at stake. That's what Dana declared. So that's what it is. I can understand Dricus du Plessis having something to say about that. But this is the world we're in, boys. That's just this is the way the cookies crumble.